The following program is rated M for a mature audience. It contains coarse language.
Hello and welcome to Hungry Beast. Tonight the subject is speed, from rising sea levels to accelerating technological change to the company that's a model for fast fashion.
But first, Australia is a land of champion athletes. But when it comes down to it, most of us have no idea what it takes to produce a world-beating result.
Well, I mean, the fastest time I've ever done, which is the fastest by any Australian on a 250-metre track, is 9.94, and virtually you're going flat out for 200 metres, and your top speed when you hit the 200-metre line is about 76, 77 k an hour. So the million-dollar question is like, how do you go faster?
Here's the final, 1st to 6th, the World Kieran Championships.
In February this year, Shane Perkins became world champion at the Kieran, cycling's explosive sprint event. In this kind of contest, the difference between being a loser and world champion is counted in hundredths of seconds. And it's not just the athlete that fights for those hundredths. Shane's success is the product of his team's plan, drawn from meticulous data and executed with scientific precision.
Shane is very finely tuned, it's a bit like a Formula One car. He just needs that exact perfect body function and biomechanics in order to perform at the optimal level. So we need to be very accurate and very specific with him.
He's going so fast now, he's got to the point where the motorbike can no longer go any faster safely on the velodrome, and he's right on the back of that motorbike, pushing it upwards, towards 80 kilometres per hour.
The Olympics in 2012, that's going to be Perko's grand final. And we need to have this machine well-oiled, and we've had 2 years of good data now behind Perko, so we know exactly what he responds to and what works and what doesn't.
Bottom line, Shane's a machine, built for power. At maximum output, he pushes 2,500 watts through his pedals. That's more than 4 times the power the average male can generate. It's enough to run 12 flat-screen TVs. If he spent the day in bed, his body would go through more calories than yours does in a normal day up and about. At peak heart rate, Shane pumps blood with more pressure than petrol through a Bowser.
We virtually train our body to absolutely get the maximum out of it when we call on it. Instead of winding up, it needs to just go bang.
It takes an enormous amount of effort and discomfort to reach that kind of speed because of, the amount of lactic acid that you've produced. Shane is operating right at that jagged edge where he's having to tolerate the kinds of symptoms that would turn most people off the sport.
For Perkins, training isn't practice. It's only through constant maximum effort that he can make improvements.
You feel like you need to go to the toilet, you feel like you need to throw up, your legs are burning, you can't walk, sometimes you black out. Yeah, it's fairly intense.
He worked to the point where he's rolled up in a little ball on the ground in between sets, resting. So he pushes himself absolutely to maximum.
Cosmetic appearance has no bearing on Shane's training. His team builds only the muscles that will enhance his performance.
As far as I'm concerned, he can never be strong enough. And the more strength he has, the bigger the gears he's going to be able to push.
During intense training, Shane is burning upwards of 5,000 calories a day. That's equal to 17 bowls of pasta. To perform at his level, the body needs more nutrients than is humanly possible to consume. He has a daily tailored supplement regime that includes a series of amino acids to improve muscle growth and stimulate immediate recovery, as well as proteins and vitamins.
This is the edge that we're trying to give our athletes, and it's new stuff. It might not be validated by a proper nutritional study at a university yet, but emerging science out of, say, the medical world, and we go, OK, if this is not going to harm the athlete and there is a chance that this is going to be beneficial for them, we'll give it a go.
Every year you're trying to go with that 1% or a couple of percent, and that's by nutrition, supplements, massage, really looking after yourself, getting off your legs.
If he's not putting 2,500 watts, but only 2,300, then there's something wrong. And at that level, it's minute, but we have to be able to pick it up and make sure that we know what it is, so we can actually raise the bar again and bring it back up to these 2,500 watts.
Once you're on the track, it's all about you. I'm not someone that needs to sit there for half an hour and really get myself in the zone. I think I love that rush that you get when you kind of walk out on the track, and it's just a great feeling when you line up against one other person and you're just like, yeah, I'm gonna kick your ass, mate.
Perkins drives for the line and he wins the Kieran.
Stuff said. Speed.
Humanity is forgetting its past faster with each passing year. Harvard University researchers on the findings of a project which tracked how often references to particular years appeared in 5.2 million books. References to 1880 halved after 32 years, but references to 1973 halved within a decade.
The future is already here. It's just not very evenly distributed. Novelist William Gibson, in an interview with American radio station NPR, 31st of August, 1993.
The eagles who soar through the sky are at rest, and the creatures who crawl, run and creep. I know you're not thirsty, that's bullshit, stop lying. Lie the fuck down, my darling, and sleep. An excerpt from the tongue-in-cheek bedtime book Go the Fuck to Sleep, written by novelist Adam Mansbach for parents frustrated by how long it takes their children to nod off. The book won't be published until later this month, but is already at the top of Amazon bestseller chart.
From the people who brought you random breath testing, highway patrol, Send in the Dogs, and that other dog show that's exactly the same, comes a series about the only area of police life that doesn't already have its own show. Fixed Speed Cameras. The unsung heroes protecting you from above, catching every dash, every flash, and every minor incursion. If this show got any more high octane, it would give itself a fine. 9:30 p.m. Wednesday. Fixed Speed Cameras.
Tuvalu is a small Pacific island nation with a landmass of 26 square kilometres. Sitting just a few metres above the ocean, the impacts of climate change are already a reality for many families. Hungry Beast visited Tuvalu to experience what it's like to live with rising sea levels.
Tuvalu's 9 coral atolls are home to 10,500 people. Firmly connected to family, culture and land. Until recently, the richness of the soil and sea has provided a self-sufficient lifestyle for the families who share it. But with an average elevation less than 2 metres above sea level, this is a delicate environment. The accelerating effects of sea level rise are threatening the traditional ways of life. Families like Mofetis already live with their feet in the water.
Fata con matene, era me pocotia nei mato, azu con bola da tano ma pera. Atene itam faya tu te mo puna ko te me ke mawole. He olanga to ka ngamali mo se mo na olanga. Ka ti dena te.
Changing weather patterns and rising sea levels are eating away this small island nation. Recent data shows that sea levels in Tuvalu are rising by 4 millimetres every year.
A very small change is really significant for us. 1 centimeter of sea level rise to others is small, but to Tuvalu, because we are so low-lying, that's big.
Because of Tuvalu's porous coral base, it's becoming more common for saltwater to seep up through the centre of the islands during high tide. The increasing salinity of this groundwater is forcing many families to abandon once fertile plots. Others struggle on.
Ia fia toki lākau te konga tēnei, lākau kaina, pela ki maika, mei, ia e oko hoki kāpisi konei, mea whātoanga konei sia whai mai tō.
Fish numbers are also declining due to warmer waters and coral bleaching, leaving Tuvaluans more dependent on imported goods than ever before. It brings with it a new dilemma, dealing with the tons of rubbish created by a consumer-driven society. Trapped in a cycle of sea level rise, land loss and degradation, even the most passionate Tuvaluans are doubtful about their future.
Well, I can see properly now this land will be, nothing. Every Tuvaluan must have a piece of land. If you don't have a piece of land, then we'll say you're not a Tuvaluan.
Facing the threat of losing the thing most important to them, Tuvaluans are trying to deal with this situation as best they can, raising houses and gardens above the water table and trialling salt-resistant crops. Man-made seawalls help support and even reclaim land, while communities are planting mangroves to encourage fish breeding and prevent soil erosion.
I think we just have to get more land and put soil on top. Be innovative and be adaptive, and think of ways to actually, build on the good that you can actually change things to the better.
Faith also gives the people of Tuvalu strength. On Sundays, the nation stops. Roads close, communities unite, and the vast majority of the population connects with its Christian beliefs.
Most of our people, they pray that God is the answer for their survival in time of catastrophes.
Most Tuvaluans understand the scientific reality, but a minority of churchgoers believe God will save them, citing a covenant he made with Noah, promising no more floods.
Well, I have to tell my people that climate change is real. What is happening today is because of the human activities. But sometimes people think that it's the end is coming. But it's not the right way to say that. It's not the end. But it's a wake-up call to us.
Tuvaluans have always understood they are vulnerable and have an age-old word that empathises with those who have no land.
Whakaalofa, something that felt in your heart. What am I going to do to help these people? Tuvalu is just like that.
Elera is nafanga. Kaya te nalo ke le mai ina. Ela hikiro tea te fia kai pela te pula mai tea te wat fenuane. Pela ke fisoso ani mai e plano fa mai pene. Ha koma wa ke ka pela katolo tea te to fenuane. Ka te na e sila fa.
Meet Zara, the Spanish company at the forefront of fast fashion, where speed and disposability are the new black. Launched in 1975, Zara now has almost 2,000 stores in 77 countries. Its parent company Inditex turned over $17 billion last year, helping reclusive founder Amancio Ortega, a railway worker's son, become the 7th richest man in the world. Zara's HQ is a futuristic building known as The Cube in La Coruña, northwestern Spain. From there, staff churn out 30,000 designs a year, near-carbon copies of fashion's big names. Lightning-fast, locally targeted designs are Zara's specialty. When Madonna played 3 weeks of European concerts in 2001, teenage girls went to her later shows wearing knockoffs of the outfit from her first performance. Zara's vertically integrated business model limits outsourcing, making most of its catwalk copies in-house and ensuring better quality control. When it does use cheap labour, it goes for poorer European countries rather than the developing world. Garments hit shop floors within 3 weeks of design, blitzing the industry average of 6 months. Fashion used to be sold in 4 seasons. Zara wants you to buy for 104. New clothes arrive in every store twice a week, days known by fans as Z Days, and fuel the need to turn over your wardrobe. The brand's global distribution centre, also in Spain, moves 2.5 million items per week. Nothing remains warehoused longer than 72 hours. Clothes are ironed in advance and packed on hangers with security and price tags affixed, saving store staff prime selling time. Records are kept of any clothes tried on but not bought and sent back to Spain along with all cash register data. Customers visit Zara on average 6 times more often than its competitors, causing rival stores to dread its arrival on their turf. When Zara opened a store in China last year, one industry commentator noted it just murdered everything around it. And when the doors of Zara's first Australian store opened in Sydney in April, 80% of the stock was snapped up within 3 minutes. Shoppers might love Zara, but fashion's elite are not so happy. One unnamed designer complained, "We spend a fortune researching and working up ideas, then Zara comes along and walks off with them for nothing." Zara has achieved global success with almost zero advertising, which its founder calls a pointless distraction. Zara. Fast, affordable, pre-packaged fashion. A business built on speed, designed for addiction.
Tonight on Fixed Speed Cameras, the shocking lab results that will blow you away.
It's definitely a B, not an S.
Well, that's what we thought.
Fixed Speed Cameras.
This is Hungry Beast on Speed. Moore's Law, coined 40 years ago, was the first to note that every 2 years our computer chips double in power and halve in cost. Even our weak human brains can see that technology is evolving much faster than we are. So what's going to happen when machine intelligence catches up?
It is hypothesized that at some point computers will get so fast we'll be able to simulate something on a par with human intelligence. At that point, they will not stop getting more intelligent.
Do I think that it's only a question of time before human beings build conscious machines? I would say the answer is yes.
By 2045, according to my calculations, we will multiply the intelligence of our human-machine civilization 1 billion-fold. This is going to lead to greater than human intelligence in a machine. That's such a profound change that we borrow this metaphor from physics and call it a singularity.
Computers have been around for 60 years, and in that time, they've almost caught up with 200,000 years of human brain evolution. Pretty soon, they could be smarter than us. Ray Kurzweil thinks this will happen in our lifetimes, around 2045.
Well, I'm Ray Kurzweil. I'm an inventor, futurist, and author. The first concept that's important to understand is the exponential growth of information technology. This computer is 1 billion times more powerful per dollar than the computer I use as a student. It's 100,000 times smaller. We'll do that again in the next 25 years. This will be the size of a blood cell. It will again be 1 billion times more powerful per dollar than it is today. The design of the human brain is not simple, but it's not infinitely complex either. And it's a level of complexity we can master. And in fact, we're making exponential gains on understanding it.
This decade, the 2010s, will be the decade of massive research on artificial brains. The physics of computation is such that future technologies can totally, utterly outclass what the human brain can do.
For those who believe in the singularity, this isn't the distant future, it's already happening. In 1997, world chess champion Garry Kasparov was beaten by Deep Blue, a computer from IBM. And earlier this year, a machine called Watson competed against 2 human champions in the legendary game show Jeopardy! And won.
That was a wake-up call for a lot of Americans. When a computer beat the world champions, it really shook people.
But as artificial intelligence becomes less artificial, as machines get smarter, what will this mean for the human race?
Who or what should be dominant species? Should it remain human beings? So I see a lot of people will absolutely reject the idea that humans should become number 2.
I don't think it's going to be an us-them phenomena with, humans on the left side of the room, computers on the right, and let's get along with each other. It's going to be all mixed up. We're all going to be enhanced by these technologies as we already are. I think we are already information, and right now we have no way of capturing that and backing it up. We think that's really weird, but we think nothing of backing up the information on this device. In fact, you'd feel pretty uncomfortable to not back it up. Yeah, we walk around without backing up our mind file.
For some, the idea of machine intelligence merging with humanity could solve all our problems.
We will make ourselves smarter by putting billions of these, which will be the size of blood cells, in our bodies. They'll keep us healthy from inside. They will go inside our brains, interact with our biological neurons, put our brains on the internet, on the cloud of computing. It's still not a guarantee of immortality, but it's a tipping point.
Others in the movement think it could bring on a calamity greater than we've ever imagined. A war between man and cyborg, man and machine, or perhaps even cyborg and machine.
Obviously, humanity, traditional humanity, humanness will get lost. That prospect is going to threaten a large number of people. I might seem a cheery, happy sort of, optimistic sort of guy by personality, but what I'm predicting will happen is, in fact, the very opposite. I'm predicting a major war in the second half of this century over this issue of species dominance. We're talking about the survival, not of a country, we're talking about the survival of the species. If there's a major war, an intellect war, your kids will die.
Immortality, cyborgs, the end of our species. If your brain is struggling to take it all in, don't worry. You just haven't upgraded yet. And though it might sound like science fiction, it's starting to be taken very seriously. This year, the singularity has made the cover of Time magazine, and a feature documentary has been released in the US.
You have people like Larry Page, CEO of Google, taking an interest in this stuff. You're starting to have prominent public figures willing to associate their names with the singularity. It's definitely a move, from the fringes, if not into the mainstream, and a lot closer.
Still, many refuse to accept the central principle of the singularity, that a machine could ever replicate something so innately human as actual consciousness. They may be right. Either way, it won't be a long wait to find out.
Get enough of fixed speed cameras.
At 59 k's an hour, it won't be a fine for this lucky Holden.
Then get ready for Fixed Speed Cameras UK.
At 39 miles an hour, it won't be a fine for this lucky Vauxhall.
Fixed Speed Cameras UK tonight after Fixed Speed Cameras Outback Special. Fixed Speed Cameras.
Oh, that's a fairly personal one.
The longest moment in my life
as in a quick moment that seemed like forever.
When I met a girl.
I was going to tell him that I liked him, like I'd kissed him goodbye on the cheek, he'd kissed me on the cheek goodbye. I was going to tell him, like it was on the tip of my tongue, and I freaked out and I ran inside the house because I couldn't do it.
Then what happened since?
He got a girlfriend.
Probably in the best possible way, my wedding day, I guess, that moment of seeing my wife come down the altar.
I was leaning against the door, I was just slowly sliding down to the ground, slapping myself in the face, it was a very long moment of what if.
I don't know, I felt like a lot of things happened in that moment, like I was becoming a man and becoming a husband.
The longest moment of my life was actually when I was in labour, giving birth to my first child. And that was 24 hours. But knowing, by the end of 24 hours, I would have a little baby.
I guess when you see a child lose their baby, your own daughter lose a baby, lose a child, that's a long moment in your life.
We lost a son some years ago, and that probably was the longest thing that ever, well, it still is there.
Waiting for the rain to come in 3 years of drought.
The 10 seconds before my car crashed into a wall.
When I fell through a roof.
I fell asleep at the wheel. I just conked out at the wheel and I clipped a car and it moved into 2 other cars. And my car rolled, and in that moment I thought I was going to die.
And I was sitting on concrete with my left leg in the wrong place and waiting for the pain to hit.
You're in complete silence, so that's the biggest thing. There's no noise anywhere. You're waiting for this thing to happen.
I was upside down in my car because it landed on the roof. And at that moment I was alive, and I just put my finger up and said, "I'm okay," to the bystanders. I just yelled out, "I'm okay." I was so happy.
Follow the money.
53 billion rials, or about $4.5 million. The amount Iran has set aside to spend on scientific grants in 2011. Despite this, Iran is the fastest growing source of published scientific research in the world. €1,700,000. The cost of a solar sail being developed by the European Union. Due to launch next year, it will orbit the Earth on powerful solar winds, pulling a 1 kilogram satellite at around 50 kilometres per second. That's more than 4 times faster than any man-made object has travelled before. $123 million. The amount the US government will this year inject into rehabilitation programs for its fastest growing drug problem, prescription medicines. The prescription drug epidemic has killed more Americans than the black tar heroin epidemic of the 1970s and the crack cocaine epidemic of the 1980s combined.
Well, that's another episode of Hungry Beast over as quickly as it began. It went by so fast we didn't have time to fit in our story about JetConnect, the New Zealand-based airline wholly owned by Qantas. You can find that story on the Hungry Beast website and keep up with us there during the week or on Facebook and Twitter.
Next week is all about death, which is fitting because it's our last episode for 2011. Don't miss the death of Hungry Beast. Until then, good night. Stuxnet was a weapon, the first to be made entirely out of code.
As a result of all my undercover work for the police service, I'm now being diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I find it very difficult to cope.
The internet is extremely fragile in some places, and especially in those where less than benevolent governments own the telecommunications infrastructure, the ISPs and the electricity.